My name is Kirby Hansen, and you're watching Securely Connected. Today's video, why kids escalate during transitions. This is a very common thing that families deal with a lot. I hear parents say all the time, he can't stand the word no. He was doing just fine until it was time to turn off the tablet. Everything was calm until we approached bedtime. They were happy all afternoon, and then we had to start the homework. Transitions are one of the most common moments when kids escalate, not because necessarily they're defiant, even though it sure looks like that. It's because they are nervous system events. Our brains love patterns, they love predictability, and they don't love change. Okay, so today I want to walk through what happens and what we can possibly do differently to make these transitions a little bit easier. So if your child struggles with things like turning off video games, starting their homework, leaving the house, getting ready for bed, turning off their phone, these are moments that happen many times for many families, and you are not alone. These transition times are when their regulation system is already fragile. So I want to look over these confidence path maps that I introduced in a last video. And instead of asking, how do I stop this behavior, we're going to look at these confidence path maps and say, what level is my child's nervous system at right now? Because my response as the caregiver is going to depend on that level. All right. So I've got some of these confidence path maps here right now. Before I go into this any further, just in case you missed the last video, I do want to explain thoroughly where this model is rooted from, because I don't want to take credit for something that I didn't necessarily develop. I am an official TBRI practitioner. I was trained many years ago, and if you bring your child out here to Secured Connections and Wellness for therapy, the sort of guidance you will be given from me regarding providing care for your child is deeply rooted in TBRI, Trust-Based Relational Intervention, which was developed by Dr. Karen Purvis and Dr. David Cross from TCU, Texas Christian University, some probably like 20 years ago. And now it's called the Karen Purvis Institute for Child Development. I completed the official practitioner training in 2018, and it quite honestly was one of the most important learning experiences in my career. I learned way more, nothing against my grad school experience, I learned a lot there, but I learned way more about interpersonal neurobiology, attachment theory, and the sensory systems, which help us provide care for our children in a day-to-day. TBRI is an evidence-based caregiving model rooted in attachment theory, trauma-informed care, and the brain science. So I worked at Orchard Place for a long time, became a practitioner while I was there, and worked to train all of the staff at Orchard Place over the years in this model so that it could be implemented consistently across all of the settings, along with several other practitioners who also worked at Orchard Place. I spent a lot of time in those environments where TBRI shaped how staff supported kids and families, and it remains central to the work that I do here at Secured Connections and Wellness. Everything we do here at Secured Connections and Wellness is grounded in attachment theory, interpersonal neurobiology, and is strongly informed by the TBRI principles as how I support caregivers working with children who have big behaviors and sensitive nervous systems. So just to be clear, this video is not an official TBRI training, but I am a TBRI practitioner, so there's no way I could explain how to best serve kids without talking about it. All right, so let's take a look at these one by one. The first one I want to look at is one of the most common ones that I hear families talk about a lot. All right, and this confidence path map is ending video game time. All right, step-by-step regulation and response guide. So remember, connection before correction. And these skills, it's best if you practice them while the child is regulated before you get into these situations so they know what to expect. Kids don't need stronger consequences at first. They need the right level of consequence for what level of regulation they're at. So let's start with playful engagement. Level 1. All right, your child might finish the level, turn off the game, ask how much time is left. They might follow directions. They're going to stay flexible. The caregiver strategies at this level are you would have previewed, the transition ahead. You may use proactively have a countdown method already established, and you're going to stay physically nearby during this time period while offering some choices. And then celebrate cooperation. So proud of you. You did such a great job. I know this is hard, and you did great. So you might try saying things like 2 more minutes or finish this round. And your voice is going to be kind of, did you hear my inflection? Finish this round. Like, like it's got something fun to your voice. Now, if this continues and they don't turn it off and they go past that time, then, or if you walk in the room and they're swearing at the computer or something like this, or the video game, and you know that something needs to change because they're getting to this stage where they're a little more escalated. They're not in playful engagement mode. They're now at level 2. We're going to use structured engagement. So what you're going to do now is you'll use a more confident, clear, yet still kind voice. All right. So you might say something, you might notice your child might ask for more time. They might say, I need to play until the end of this round. Or they might just ignore your directions. They may try to negotiate. I need 5 more minutes. I need 5 more minutes. And what you might do is say, okay, you can have 5 more minutes, and then that is it. Now, notice I didn't have that inflection in my voice. I said, and then that is it. Like, I mean it. And they might complain, this isn't fair. Okay. Caregiver strategies, reduce language. Do not lecture. Do not say something like this. Oh, we're not going to do this again today. Because when you do that, you just shove them into the next level higher on the levels of regulation, like into another more escalated state of mind. All right. What you may do is offer limited choices. Okay, you can have 3 more minutes or something along those lines. Again, you're going to stay nearby and you're going to keep the expectations predictable and you're going to support follow through. So try saying things like, you can turn it off or I can help. Or first the game off, then we can do the next activity. Or I'm staying right here with you. All right. There's no sing-song and so forth. Next one, calming engagement, level 3. This is when the child definitely has reached a stage where they're not able to regulate by themselves. Okay. So they might start yelling. They might even start crying. They might say, this isn't fair. And they're actually like turning red. They're entering the regulation system of fight, flight, and freeze. Even though their body is not in danger, their sense of felt safety is off. Whether you feel it should be or not, it just is. Okay. And what does the caregiver need to do? This is calming engagement. This is the stage, calming engagement. Remember, this is to remind us as the caregivers to remain calm. We are to co-regulate with our young one. And so sometimes I don't even say anything. I just, if I think that they might pull into that. If not, I need to say something. But I'm going to use few words. And I'm going to say something like, I know this is hard. I'm right here with you. Take it one breath at a time. You didn't do anything wrong. Stopping is just really hard. Okay? And you're going to say this quiet, slow. You're going to be grounded and you're going to say it in a reassuring way. Notice I'm not spiking my voice. I'm not saying that's it, or anything like that, because I'm not trying to just push them to the next step in this level of escalation. I'm trying to help bring them into a more regulated state. This is also when it's not helpful when you have one caregiver who's doing this and has them in this calming engagement state, and you're just about ready to get them to slip into the structured engagement so we can get off the game. And then another caregiver comes in and says, what are we doing in here? I told you we're not doing this again. I mean, that's just not helpful. The kid now just spikes through the ceiling. Now they're into the next level, which is protective engagement. So this is why it's very important that caregivers remain on the same page, because a simple little word can just kick a kid who's almost regulated into that next higher state of dysregulation, okay, which is protective engagement. If you're not able to get the kid off the video game and they continue to play, and now they throw the controller or they get up, like you said, but instead they kick the dog, or they come over and push you over, or they break something, or they run out the door, okay, this is where it's not okay, and we're not training parents to restrain their children. We're wanting to be proactive and have a list of options of things we're going to do, so that we don't get confused and have to just think at the last minute when things are kind of wild. So your job as the caregiver is to keep everyone else in the room safe. All right. So create space if needed, remove unsafe objects, help other people leave the area, but try your best to stay as regulated as possible. This is easier said than done, obviously, right? And then you're going to be thinking about wanting to reconnect, but you're going to stay calm, you're going to stay clear, and your voice is going to stay non-reactive. So we're not yelling, and we're just going to say simple things like, I'm not going to let you hurt me, or you cannot hurt your sister, or I am right here with you, or let's help your body get calm. You might say nothing at all, and you might just and see if that helps bring them in. But the coordinated effort is that all of the caregivers, all of the people in the area know not to do something that's going to actually get this kid to even escalate farther, okay? Because that's going to defeat our purpose. Now, another example that I'd like to talk about in today's video is getting ready for bed, the bedtime routine. But I'm going to give you a quick little sneak peek into some other cards that I'm working on for future episodes, all right? While we as the caregivers are working on our response, what level of behavior are they exhibiting equals what level of response I should be coming with, there are also things we can be working on with our kid in session or during our coaching conversations with them. And one of them that I like for this particular topic is brain still playing the game mode. I wasn't done yet. Don't talk to me. I need a minute to switch gears. I can finish this game. This shows up when I just turn the game off, when I lose a round or a level. What do I need? A transition buffer, right? And my brain finishes the game before it starts the next thing. So we can be working with our kids on strategies they can also implement when these transition times come. What's cool, and again, this is for a future video, when we're talking about ending video games, one of the things that often happens, one of the things that may be contributing to the intensity of turning off the video games could be that it's right before bedtime. So bedtime is a topic that we as caregivers also need to be ready for. So we have, confidence path map for how to respond regarding bedtime routines. And then we also have different things that we can use with our kids to help them prepare for these transitions as well, such as the bedtime step builder. All right. We can help our child prepare for bedtime. There could be a this then board, or maybe there's a visual strip, or maybe there's all kinds of strategies on these cards that might address things like the night worry mode. What do kids worry about at night? Is there something they're not even completely aware of that they're avoiding about going to bed? Are there too many steps and too many things they have to do, and it's hard to keep all these things straight, and it ends up becoming a fight? And so really what they're doing is it's not so much about ending the game as they know that now there's going to be conflict coming up because there's so many things you're going to ask me to do that take steps that I might not be successful with, that you might get on my case about. Not sure, everyone's got different situations, but we do have a lot of tools that we can put in place that can help our kids who might not be, they're just not quite ready yet, or they just don't have the executive functioning skills to organize these steps in their mind so that they can do what they need to do successfully. We can help them with that step by step. So playful engagement, first level. Parents say, in 10 minutes, we're going to start getting things ready for bed. Okay, so notice what I said. In 10 minutes, we're going to get things ready for bed. Like, It sounds like I'm happy because I'm using this voice inflection that is playful, it's warm, it's light, and it communicates safety. Okay. Even though I might be tired, I don't want to yell up and say, "It's time to get ready." Because that alone, for some children, when they're facing going to bed and this transition is on the horizon, could be enough to just send them over the edge. Okay. So we want to be very cautious with that, and be proactive. Okay. So 10 more minutes. Yeah. You want to pick your pajamas or choose a book first? All right. Show me when you're ready with your nightlight on. Okay. So things like that. And this isn't working and the kid is continuing to stall and they're not moving to the next step in the routine, then you're going to switch into structured engagement. All right. And structured engagement, again, is when you keep your voice confident, you stay clear and steady with your tone, but you just are a little more serious about it. So your directives, you're going to say something like, "It is time to get things ready for bed now." Right. Notice I didn't have any inflection that goes up. I just said, "It's time to get your things ready for bed now." I mean business, but I'm not mad. You could say, "You're not in trouble, but it is time to transition." Something like that. It's bedtime now. Pajamas or brush your teeth. All right. All right. So you're going to reduce language, no lecturing. None of this like, "We're not doing this again," or "Oh my gosh, not again tonight," because yes, as adults, we have the right to be frustrated and tired, and we might feel like we just want to snap ourselves, but that is not going to help co-regulate our child in this moment. So remaining regulated is important. If this doesn't work well, and all of a sudden you realize your child is continuing to escalate, starts melting down, goes and kicks the cat or punches the wall or slams their door really hard or tells you to shut up and maybe uses some other explicitives, then this is when we need to remember, even though we want to become reactive at this time because all of this wild stuff is happening in front of us, this is when we need to co-regulate our kid and we need to really regulate ourselves. So I need more oxygen myself when this happens. So then I just remember, sometimes with training and practice, this will actually encourage your child to just do the same thing. All right. So your child might be saying, "I hate you," or whatnot, but they're avoiding something about going to bed. There's something that we are trying to not handle. Now, what could this be? We can explore that during our therapy work together. You can make lists of what the possibilities could be, but our children are not necessarily going to come up and say, "I'm feeling this way because blah, blah, blah," because kids' brains don't think like that. It could be that there's a fear of the dark and they're going to be left alone in a dark room and they can't come out and they're lonely, and that is scary. It could be that they've seen something on YouTube that you didn't know about that they're not even completely aware of was connected to this. But I've had kids say that they see Slender Man and Siren Head and some of these really creepy YouTube creatures. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, and with all the YouTube that gets consumed during the day at school and at home and in different places, it's hard to say where and when it picked up, but it's in their mind, it's repeating, and it is kind of frightening. And so then they're, these, if you're familiar with the ones I just mentioned, they were just kind of in the shadows, and kids swear they see them like in the corner of their room at night. So there's no wonder the child is not looking forward to going to bed because it's kind of a scary experience, but they don't want to say that it's scary because they're going to get some kind of lecture from their caregiver about how, "When I never used to blah, 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 when I was a kid, this is," and so it's just, some of that stuff's just not helpful, and they don't want to go down that path with their caregiver. And so they just are avoiding. The other thing is their tablet was regulating all day. It just is. Electronics are very regulating, they're very predictable, there's patterns to them, and they're engaging. And so now all of a sudden I have to put that away. It's like all of a sudden the quietness is just so overwhelming. I can't stand it. Okay. And when kids do feel connected, they like being with the people they're around. They like co-regulating. So being all alone in the room by themselves sometimes feels a little bit unbearable. Those are some potential reasons why bedtime is hard anyway. So we're going to say things like, "You're safe." All right. "I know this is hard for you." Acknowledge the feeling, right? And "I'll be right here. Let's take some deep breaths. Let's just try one small thing." Okay. So we're keeping it very doable, and we're not going to say a whole lot. And if that doesn't work and we're having a complete meltdown and things are flying now and getting broken and smashed, then our job turns to saying nothing again, because talking and lecturing only keeps things going. If the child is trying to engage us in an argument and they keep pitching these bids for connection or interaction, we don't want to take that bait. Okay, we want to just say nothing. Eventually they will also say nothing, but if we talk, it's just gonna, if this back and forth just kind of escalates. All right, so all I'm going to do is regulate myself while I'm ensuring everything around is safe. So am I moving things out of the way that might get broken? Am I making sure the dog gets put into another room? Am I getting the siblings to go into another space? That's all I'm going to be taking care of. If it's more violent than that, or if your child is older, if it includes things like initiating a safety plan, then you want to just make sure you have your phone where you can get it, so you can call for mobile crisis, or if you can call for someone who's on your repair crew plan or something like that, so that you, as the caregiver, have the support you need. If you're interested in what the repair crew plan is, that's something I work with families on when they need a plan like that, to get it in place so that when these events occur, it's not like, what do we do now? Okay. It's important to remember that when these events happen, it's not necessarily that our children are being defiant just to be defiant. Is this willful disobedience, or is this an unregulated nervous system? Very likely it's an unregulated nervous system. Is it pleasant to deal with? No. Do you wish this could just stop? Yes, you do. Is yelling and telling them to knock it off going to work to make it stop? It might make it stop, maybe, but it isn't going to help them learn how to self-regulate on their own as they grow older. And our job as caregivers is to help them become more independent with these types of skills. So here's what I want caregivers to remember. Transitions don't create behavior problems, but transitions are part of our day all the time. Transitions reveal regulation problems. And when we can match our response to the level of the child's regulation, then kids can recover faster and learn to do this more independently. Okay, so transitions are the hardest part of the day. Being flexible is tricky for many, many kids. Other kids can handle it better. Some kids can't. The kids that can't handle being flexible with their thinking are the ones that are going to struggle with their emotional regulation more, right? So the question during transitions is not, how do I make this stop? It's, what level are we at now? And what does my child need? Because when caregivers match the response to the behavior with the nervous system level, confidence grows, connection grows, and the child's ability to regulate independently grows. Okay? So I hope this makes sense. If you have any questions, please let me know. Comment below. Thank you again for tuning in. Please like and subscribe if you enjoy these videos. And until next time, my name's Kirby Hansen. This is Securely Connected. I'm sitting out here at Secured Connections and Wellness, and we'll see you next time. Take care.